Hey, the Red Sox winning streak is 7. They're now officially that last wild card leader in the American League, and they have the third best record in the big leagues over their last 34 games. Yeah, that's a lot to digest. But it's Friday, and it's Red Sox Now, presented by FanArch right here on YouTube. I'm your host, Mike Antonellis. It's the last show of the week, so we got to go out in a bang. Hope you had a great week and have a great weekend, and we'll have a lot to talk about on Monday because that will be it. This series ending this weekend will be the final games before the All-Star break, and we'll have a lot to break down as this stretch is ending. The stretch that I talked about, this 16-game stretch before the break, and with 13 at home, and the Red Sox are taking advantage. Before we go further, you know the drill. Subscribe. We get those subscriptions over 700 yesterday. Thank you. Your hard work, your comments were outstanding. We're going to get to some of those comments as well. The comments they've been excellent. We like the comments. So subscribe, like, share, comment, and follow me on social media. At the Radio Mike is where you can find me everywhere. I do, once in a while, I'll hit the Twitch, the big Twitch, and do a Red Sox pregame behind the mic over there. If you ever want to check that out as well. And I'm one of the radio TV voices of the Worcester Red Sox. They are on the road, or they had a tough one last night, but Christian Campbell did hit a home run, his first in AAA. He's been struggling. Let's get to the Red Sox. Here's what I like about the game last night. Adversity. You have to have it. They did. They faced a good pitcher. I know that many will pull up the ERA of Bradley and say he stinks. No, he doesn't. He's had some bad games, but overall, I don't treat everyone the same. When I go back and look at ERA, he has 3 games where he gave up 6 or more runs, Bradley. But you see, you take those, and you can't take that out, which I get. But overall, a guy the Rays feel is probably their best upside, and he was good. Yeah, he was good over 6 innings. He was coming off a good one at Minnesota. He pitched really well at Houston on June 1st. He's had some really good games for Tampa Bay. And you struggle against him. That's going to happen. We're going to see this. Offense is not going to arrive every day. That's why you have to pitch. And the Red Sox were able, and I don't agree with what Tampa Bay did, by the way. Let's talk about this first. 88 pitches for Bradley. Dave and Lou said that was a break. I hope this is not the whole computer thing where the whole fourth time or third time around the lineup again, probably the fourth time. You can't do that. You have to have feel, and Bradley was dominating all these hitters second and third time, and you can't just assume, well, they're all going to figure it out. I was relieved. We were all relieved that Brian Baker, who made his debut with the Rays, was not good. So you got him out of there, and that 7th inning, the at-bats were great. But the walks right away, and then Meyer and Rafaela not getting the runs. The guys in the lower part of the order. You were running like wild against these guys. Why? Why were you doing that if you're watching last night? Because they don't hold on runners, first of all, and Tice can't really catch and throw. That's why it's important. Like, those are the skills that Narvaez has. So there were a lot of little things in that game last night that go beyond, the statistics or all that. And I was impressed. I thought the at-bats were great. They were patient. They had Rafael had a great dirt ball read on a ball that was in the dirt. They gave him a stolen base for it, which is not a stolen base. But I liked how they persevered and got through it. Now, with Walker Buehler, I know people were down. I was on social media. I like to see what people write, and they were going nuts about, get him out. No, and listen, I agree with going forward. I don't think he's going to be the guy for me if you can upgrade that. But I will sign up for that last night. And I get, the old school guys will tell me, 3 earned runs over 6 innings is a 4.50 ERA. Yes, I don't care. I don't care. 3 runs in 6 innings in Major League Baseball with that bullpen and at Fenway Park keeps you in the game, right? I didn't care that he gave up 3 runs. That I will take because I didn't think we were going down that road of just 3 runs. Command was not good, but he still gave you 6 innings. And it let you use, and like we talked about a couple days ago with Chris Murphy, it looks like he is now moved in that high leverage spot. He got the win, and you used your guys. Murphy, who's stepped up. Whitlock and Chapman especially, those are your guys. You were able to do that because in the previous games you didn't have to use them. And that was a big thing. There's always a game within the game. So I know the Rockies were a bad opponent, but you still beat up on them so bad that you were able to save these guys. And was that important for last night? Absolutely. There's no one else I wanted out in those last 2 innings than Whitlock and Chapman. So things carry over from games before. Say you beat those Rockies, but you struggled a bit in the last 2 games and you had to use Whitlock and Chapman. Maybe you weren't able to use them last night. But I'll take what Buehler did. Wasn't pretty. Going forward, if they could upgrade it, I would love it. But as a 5th starter, if that's your 5th starter and you get that kind of performance, you're going to take it. Because a lot of 5 starters aren't even giving you that. 6 innings. But again, listen, I'm not, putting stars on his report card here. But that's fine for that game. And you won. That's all that matters. And that was a great series starter for the Red Sox. That was good to have some adversity and able to come back. When a lot of your big boys were quiet, and that's going to happen. Duran was 0 for 3. Anthony was 1 for 4. Toro was hitless. Narvaez was hitless. Abreu was hitless. Story. You had 4 hits, but Rafaela and Meyer and Anthony produced the runs. Man, Anthony, if you watch that game, he had a curveball earlier in that at-bat that he was fooled on, and then he gets it again, and he stays right back and hits a single to right. He's such an advanced hitter, and we're seeing a superstar in the making here. It is, I don't think people realize how hard this is. The guy's 21, and, you traded Devers to create a spot for him, essentially, and he's like, okay. He just, nothing seems to bother him, but he's so damn talented and just fantastic to see. I really think this guy's been better than advertised. There was questions about his command. He always coming in. What I liked about this signing, it was a legit closer. Let me tell you something here. I try to, break things down and have more common sense. If you asked the hitters in baseball, if you polled all the opponents and asked them who they'd rather see in the 9th inning, Garrett Whitlock or Chapman, there isn't anybody that would vote Chapman. There isn't a lot of people that would vote Chapman on any team to see. So outside the numbers and all that, the stuff, but the opponent, there's no way that's the last guy they want to see. But let me ask you how you feel, because this is how I feel when he comes in. There isn't a hint of panic or worry when he's in the game. I know that he can have his day. I never, ever think that's going to happen. You absolutely have to have that in that last inning. And that's why I say, if you trade him, and we talked about this before, would you do this? I said, depending on how things go. But you cannot do that. You need a guy like that. And I know people are going to throw out, well, Jordan Hicks, or you could just put Whitlock. You can't put anyone there. You can't look at numbers for relievers until they pitch that last inning. You can't. I don't care if an 8th inning guy, and it's the reason Daniel Bard never pitched that last inning. They had concerns. Terry Francona had concerns. The 8th inning is completely different to the 9th. I know Chapman comes in and pitches the 8th. I know the 8th inning is important. It's not the 9th. There is something that is completely different, and not everyone can do it. And I don't care what the numbers are for any other reliever. It takes a special person to do that. Stuff, of course. Trevor Hoffman didn't have Chapman's stuff, but he had a changeup, and he had this. It takes us like a special guy, too. Like, you got to have sometimes some screws loose, too, up there to pitch that last inning. But I just think this guy is way too good. And if you trade him, I don't care what you get. And I know what Baltimore just did getting a draft pick. You're giving up to me. And I do not feel confident with Whitlock closing. I don't care if he goes scoreless in the next 30 games in the 8th inning. That guy, when he came in last night, those guys had no chance. Absolutely no chance. And he was messing with them, too. He didn't throw, I got this comment, we'll get into it, about he didn't throw 100 a lot. Giolito was talking about this during the game, that he'll throw 96, 97 to start the inning, and then he ramps it up. But he didn't need to throw 100 last night. I'll give Mangum credit. Mangum got a hit off him, but Jansen had no chance, and Walls had no chance. No chance. There was I almost turned the television off when it was 0-2 to Walls. He was not touching Chapman. And a championship team needs that in the back end, and that's why way back Gleyber Torres got to the Yankees from the Cubs for Chapman. And that's why you can net a lot, because you look at that guy and what he would do for a team that thinks they can win a World Series. Like, say the Tigers got Chapman, if you're a Tiger fan. I mean, come on. But to me, no. No, thank you. No, siree. All right. So, I've seen this a few times, and I do now, you're speaking my language about, I don't think the bullpen is as bad as people think. I think that's a little over-exaggeration. Like, some of that is your starting pitching, and they are going to have nights that are bad. And you've been without Slayton. You have really good back-end guys. Some teams don't have that at all. Some teams that are winning are struggling in the back end. But if you can add this guy, Ryan Helsley, people have been talking about from the Cardinals. I love that. I've seen this, and I looked at it more. I've got a lot of comments about that. I think that's amazing. Form an elite bullpen duo with Chapman. He's on the last year of his contract. He's still really good. He's having a good year. He's their closer. So say you have a night where you need to give Chapman off and you have this guy come in. I would love that. I think that, because I'm not sure about Slayton. I worry that he is going to be out longer. They're not going to tell us. But say he does come back and it's Chapman, Whitlock. Well, I would Chapman, Helsley, Whitlock, Slayton, Weissert. That's a real good 5. I would love that. Now, here's the question. Does Heimblum play nice with the Red Sox? I don't know. Does that happen? Yes. Is it childish? Of course. But this, in the game of baseball, I've seen this over the years where GMs will not trade with certain teams. I don't know. I think the positive thing is that Heim knows our system, and this guy's on an expiring contract. And he's new to that Cardinals. You got to get the best players. But I think that would be great because, like I said yesterday, I don't think Joe Ryan is a realistic possibility at all. I think that's something thrown out there. Now, if Minnesota falls out of it, I still don't think you can get that arm without giving up Anthony or Meyer. I really don't. It makes no sense for the Twins to give up an elite number 1 starter who they control for 2 more years for prospects. Or even Duran or Abreu. As much as we all love them, you're subtracting the number 1 starter. It doesn't make sense. They could go out and buy an outfielder next year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be fun to see in the next few weeks what teams do, because some teams that were falling out of it are winning now. Baltimore's 6.5 back, but I still think they sell. Cleveland's won 3 in a row. They're creeping up there. Minnesota, the Angels, Texas, Kansas City. What do they all do? Kansas City's won 4 in a row. But Helsley, I love. I think that would be good, and he obviously knows. Oh, I forgot about Jordan Hicks. You have Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks with Helsley, Chapman, Whitlock. That's pretty good. That would be really good. I would love to see that. All right, let's get to the comments from Thursday's show. At Norman 10, the real test is after the break. Sox have Cubs, Phillies, Dodgers, Astros. You're right. They have the Astros twice. Key will be starting pitching. It will look different. Yeah, you're not going to score 10, 11 runs. Yeah, going to be fun. I'm just worried about this series. Right? My focus. I'm sounding like Belichick, but yeah, no, it's going to be, and I'm looking forward to it. It's the toughest stretch. Dave O'Brien said last night, toughest stretch in Major League Baseball coming up. So thank you at Norman10. All right, at AK Cobra 1120, I'm sure the Sox will inquire about Ryan. Conversation will probably go like this. Breslow, what will it take to get Ryan? Twins, Durant plus Anthony. Breslow, click. Yeah. They have to do that. But I just, a lot of stuff goes out there. And, teams should do this. You should throw out things to see what kind of bites you get from other teams, right? I mean, you got to do that. At Salty Grampy. Don't be salty, Grampy. But I like the handle. In my opinion, they need a backup catcher, one serviceable starting pitcher, and one high-quality reliever that shouldn't take Durant or Abreu. Plus, Houck is figuring out his issues so he could help with trading away anyone. I don't think so. Well, trading in terms of what? You mean trading a starting pitcher? I mean, I don't think Houck is ready to come back. They haven't talked about him being a reliever, but yeah, he is somewhat of an X factor. Think about this. This guy was an all-star last year. If he was able to get back to some kind of form or maybe be a reliever, which he was a few years ago, what if you did have Chapman, Helsley, Whitlock, Hicks, Weissert, Houck, Murphy, Bernardino? That's a pretty good 8. Or maybe he's able to get that 5 spot for Buehler. I don't know. That's a key guy. Listen, with the catching spot, I know you guys are down on Connor Wong. Go look at the rosters. You know what I mean? Go look at the rosters. I mean, do you think that kid Tice was any good for Tampa Bay last night? He can't throw. His pop time is one of the worst in baseball. It's hard to just find a catcher. You know what I mean? I mean, the fact that you have Narvaez, that's a pretty good luxury. I don't know if you can improve that. I hope. But, Wong might be the best you get, to be honest, at a backup catcher. You guys didn't like Sable. The guys in AAA aren't much better. Sable can't throw out runners. Wong's not great at that. But, yeah, I think they'll try. In that one high-quality reliever, yeah. Good, Salty Grampy. Good comments today. We on that show yesterday, we had a lot from you, about 35 comments, and we appreciate you watching this latest episode of Red Sox Now, presented by Fan Arch here on YouTube. And hope you have a great weekend. Red Sox go for their 8th straight win. They have a 1-game lead over Seattle for that final wild card spot. And we'll talk about it on Monday because the games will be over for the break. And it'll be a lot of fun. So have a great weekend. Make sure to subscribe before you head on out. And thank you for watching Red Sox Now.